You'll often hear economists give the following type of policy advice. It's usually preferable to keep tax bases broad and tax rates low rather than narrowing tax bases and therefore raising tax rates. Put differently, it's usually better to tax many things at low rates rather than a few things at high rates. This basic advice emerges from a general analysis of the type we'll conduct in this graph. To make the basic point, we'll simplify our analysis by assuming that the demand for housing is equal to the marginal willingness to pay for housing. So we're implicitly assuming that housing is quasi-linear, and we'll make it even simpler by assuming a linear shape for this marginal willingness to pay curve. We'll begin with the initial before-tax price, P, the tax rate for the consumer consumes the quantity of the price from P plus T to P plus 4T. We end up with 16 suppose we introduce a tax on housing that causes the price of housing increasing from P to tax rate fourfold, causes the deadweight loss previous graphs 16-fold. This creates a deadweight loss triangle that can be measured on the marginal willingness to pay curve, which in our case here is assumed to be the same as the own price demand curve. That deadweight loss triangle is the shaded triangle A. Next, suppose that we double the tax and thereby increase the price of housing from P plus T to P plus 2T. The deadweight loss then rises from A to A plus B plus C plus D. In other words, it's now 4 times as high as it was originally. Or, put differently, by doubling the tax rate, we have quadrupled the deadweight loss. Suppose that instead of doubling the tax, we tripled it, from T to 3T, and thus raised the price from P plus T to P plus 3T. This would result in a deadweight loss of the blue plus the magenta plus the green shaded areas. If you count up the triangles, it means that now the deadweight loss, instead of being 1 triangle, is 9 triangles in size. In other words, by tripling the tax rate, we have increased the deadweight loss 9-fold. And if we had increased the tax rate 4-fold, thus increasing the price from P plus T to P plus 4T, we end up with 16 triangles of deadweight loss. Thus, increasing the tax rate 4-fold causes the deadweight loss to increase 16-fold. In the model we've laid out here, an increase of a tax rate by x will therefore cause the deadweight loss to increase by x squared. Thus, the deadweight loss rises much faster than the tax rates, and this is what causes economists to often recommend keeping tax rates low and instead taxing lots of different things. The rule of thumb that an increase in the tax rate by x will cause the deadweight loss to increase by x squared will of course not always hold exactly. It holds exactly here because we've assumed that the marginal willingness to pay curve is equal to the demand curve, and both of them are linear. But some rule like this, that the deadweight loss rises much faster than the tax rate, will always hold in almost any model that we can write down.